It's just straightforward, like differentiating ideas. Uh, Basically, they give you this function. They give you f prime. Uh, they want you to first find f double prime of -3. In order to do that, first let's find f double prime of x. Now, to take the derivative of this term here, you got to realize that this acts like u. You got to think the derivative of cosine u is negative sine u times the derivative of u. And u took the role of pi times x, and the derivative of pi times x is just pi. I'll write it in the front. Put the negative, still negative, plus the derivative of x to the 4, that's just power rule, 4x to the third, plus the derivative of constant 6 is 0. Now you're asked to find f double prime of -3, so you just have to plug in -3 into this and you have your answer. So it's negative pi times sine of 3 pi plus 4 times -3 cubed. And what we get here is that you should see that sine of 3 pi is 0. 0 times negative pi is 0. -3 to the third is -27. -27 times 4 is 108. -108. And you have your first answer. So this is -108. Now, the next thing that they ask you for is to write the equation for the line tangent to the graph of y equals f of x, the whole thing squared, at x equals 0. So in order to do this, if you want to get the equation of the tangent line, what you first need is slope. So slope of that tangent line is going to be given by the derivative of this. So y prime, let's do this in a different color so it's clear. Let's say, so y prime is going to be given by, here you want to think of this inside function as u. The derivative of u squared is 2u times u prime, right? But in this case, it's f of x. So it's 2 times f of x times f prime of x. But we know what f prime of x actually is, and if we want to find out what it is at 0, well, I just need to plug in, again, if you want to call this new graph g of x, or this new function g of x, you want to find g of 0, or g prime of 0, I apologize, to get the slope of the tangent line, right? This is slope of tangent line for this graph. And I want to plug in 0 into this, so I'm going to get 2 times f of 0 times f prime of 0. And that'll give me the slope of the tangent line at x equals 0. They tell me that f of 0 is 3, so I have 2 times 3 times, now f prime of 0, let's plug in 0 into this, cosine 0, because 0 times pi is just 0, plus 0 to the fourth is just 0, plus 6 is equal to, you guys should see that cosine of 0 is 1, plus 6 is 7, so we get 7 here. And then I multiply this is going to be 6 times 7, which is 42, and I have the slope of my tangent line. Now I have slope, and then this point, now when I plug in 0 to get the y value, because I want another point, I want the y coordinate. So I have the x coordinate is 0. The y coordinate is f of 0 squared. But you should see that f of 0 is 3. So then it's 3 squared is 9, and it's 0, 9 is the point that I care about. You could realize that it's the y-intercept, that 9 value, because x is 0, or you could use point slope form, it doesn't matter. Get the equation for your line correct. It's y equals 42x plus 9. So now you have your part B answer. Now C. C is just a straightforward application of chain rule a few times. Okay, this is the inner function. And if you want to find the derivative of g of x, right? So again, let's change the color for clarity. Let's see. So if I want to find the derivative of g of x, right, g prime of x is going to be equal to the derivative of this whole thing with the inner function still plugged in. So it's going to be the derivative of f with this whole thing plugged in times the derivative of that inner whole thing. And in order to do that, I'm gonna find out what the derivative of that whole thing is up here. So I have square root 2x squared plus 7 is the same thing as 2x squared plus 7 to the 1/2. And now I want to differentiate this. So when I differentiate, I'm going to get 1/2 is going to come down. This is going to take the role of u, this inner one. It's another chain rule. 2x squared plus 7 to the negative 1/2 times the derivative of the inside, which is 4x. And this can be simplified a little bit. This cancels with this, becomes 2, and then I could write it with the positive square root on the bottom because it's to the negative 1/2. And I could write that right here, 2 over square root 2x squared plus 7. And let's make sure I did everything correct. I believe so. And then now they're asking us for g prime of 3. And now you plug in 3. 3 into this is 9. Times 2 is 18, is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. So it's just f prime of 5 times 2 over, again, just 5. Sorry, just 5. Because again, 3 squared is 9, times 2 is 18, plus 27 is just 5. Now I just need to find f prime of 5. Cosine of 5 pi, take your time with that one because I'm not too sure right away immediately. There is a way to know right away. You can memorize certain rules, but cosine of pi, let's see. That's 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, 5 pi. The x value at that point right there is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 5 to the 4th plus 6. 5 to the 4th is 25 times 25, which is, I believe, 625. 2, 10, 12, 0, 10, 4, 5, 625. So it's 625 for that, plus 6 is, or plus 5 is 630. So 630 times 2 over 5, g prime of 3. This is going to be 63 times 2, because if it was divided by 10, it'd be 63. 63 times 2 is 126. So 126. No, wait, 63 times 2. 60 times 2 is 120. So 126 times 2. I did this, I divided by 5. This is 126. This is 1. And then it's times 2 is going to give me my final answer, which is 252. Okay. The only thing that I would say is just be careful to check my arithmetic over and over and over again. I'll put in any corrections if this is just happens to be wrong. My arithmetic. Take your time with the arithmetic. I am not taking my time with the arithmetic. Take your time with the arithmetic. I am not taking my time with the arithmetic. Let h be an inverse function of f. Find h prime of 3. So what we have here is we need to use the formula that we could derive over and over again, and I could derive it again. So f of h of x. It tells me that h is the inverse of f, which means that these two things undo one another. Now you could use chain rule to derive the formula for h prime of x every single time. Chain rule says this you ignore, the inside. F prime with h plugged in times the derivative of h has to equal the derivative of x, which is just 1. And then you can solve for h prime of x. And using this, I divide, right, using this formula, which again, you could just memorize or you could derive every time. Now I want to find h prime of 3. So I'm going to get 1 over f prime of h of 3. And we need to know a value for h of 3. So that's the only other tricky aspect of this. H of 3, right? If you look at the information that they give you, it almost always is going to be the case that if you actually be careful with this, right, you're looking for h of 3. You want to know what this is. You want to know. This is what your goal is, right? Your goal is to find out what question mark is. But if you look at this equality here, that actually tells you exactly what h of 3 is going to be. Because if I do h on both sides of this equation, right, if I apply h, where I apply h of f of 0 and h of 3 on both sides here, these two things are inverses of one another. So I just get 0 is equal to h of 3. And that's exactly what I have here, 1 over f prime of 0. And then I just need to find f prime of 0. If I plug in 0 to x, I get 7. Right? 0 times that is just going to be 0, and cosine of 0 is 1, plus the 0 to the 4th plus 6 is 7. So I get 1 over 7. And then this is all of them. Again, take your time with the arithmetic with the ones where I did not take my time with the arithmetic.